My life changed forever on a Sunday afternoon sitting in my dorm room. I'm sitting there reading, and my friend Frank from down the hall sticks his head in the door and says, "Dude, you have got to come see the beer funnel that Rick's brother built. It's fucking huge. It's massive. It's the biggest beer funnel ever." And he's gone. So how do you resist an invitation like that? You don't. It's a Sunday afternoon. I walk down the hall, and I'm kind of skeptical, because Rick's a friend of mine, but I've met his brother a few times, and his brother's kind of a numbnuts, quite frankly. Not exactly the engineering type. He kind of has a hard time engineering his way out of his house in the morning type of thing. So I'm skeptical. I walk down the hall, and then I turn the corner, and I enter Rick's room. And if there was a moment during the entire 4 years I was at that school, which should have been accompanied by a choir of angels, the heavens should have parted. Light should have been pouring down through an open ceiling into that room. Because to call what Rick's brother had built a beer funnel was like calling the Sistine Chapel a nice coat of paint. It was like calling the Great Wall of China a big pile of bricks. It was incredible. I'd never seen anything like it. It was like 8 feet wide and 6 feet tall. On either side, there were these two huge, like the traffic cones they put in the street, huge inverted cones like this, and it came together, and it was this beautiful translucent pipe with valves here and spigots here, and it came together in the middle, and it went down like this. It was amazing. It took 2 people on Rick's loft just to hold it up. And stenciled across the T-pipe in the middle, lovingly hand-stenciled, was its name. The Inebriator. Now, there was 5 other people in the room with me at that moment, and we were all different majors, different walks of life, different pasts, but we were all thinking exactly the same thing at that moment. How many beers will that thing hold? So we looked at Rick's brother. He's like, "Oh, sure, go for it." Now, this was a dry campus. So we had to make a beer run. So Rick ran across the room to his dorm fridge and opened it up and outspilled 2 cases of Milwaukee's Best. And so we started popping tops and poured them in. 15 and a half beers that thing took. So, of course, now it's 2:15 on a Sunday afternoon, and we have a fully loaded Inebriator sitting here in the room full of 15 and a half beers, nothing to do with it. It's like the space shuttle sitting on the launch pad waiting to, blast somebody into outer space. And then Reed Hubbard walks into the room. Now, probably everybody who's lived in a dorm at college has known a guy like Reed. Reed was a guy that didn't actually live on your hall, but kind of acted like he did. And you're not sure why. He's kind of wandering around, looking for some purpose to fill. Reed walks into that room, and it's like he sees his destiny. Reed says 3 words. "Oh, hell yes." Gets down on his knees, shoves the Inebriator into his mouth, and opens the spigot. Time stood still. Because first of all, I'm kind of astounded by Reed's bravery. It's wow, I didn't know Reed had it in him. But on the other hand, you don't need a PhD in physiology to know that the beer holding capacity of the Inebriator greatly exceeds the beer holding capacity of Reed Hubbard. I mean, the Inebriator is 6 feet tall, and it's only designed to hold beer. Reed isn't even 6 feet tall, and most of him is not designed to hold beer. But he turns the spigot, and there's this sound of a giant cylinder of beer being forced down his esophagus. It's like this wet, rushing sound, like. And yet, for one golden moment, Reed Hubbard stood tall for humankind. For one moment, Reed Hubbard was in that room with a solid cylinder of beer going all the way from his bloated stomach, up his esophagus, halfway up the tube of the Inebriator, where we could see where the beer level had stopped because Reed was full. And he held it there for 1 or 2 seconds. It was astounding. It was an amazing moment. Man reaching for something beyond his grasp. So, but of course, that moment passed because Reed, being human, had need for other things besides beer, like air. So, all of a sudden, twin funnels of beer foam come shooting out of his nostrils. He starts coughing everything up. 2 or 3 beers come right back out his esophagus. He lets go of the spigot. The 7 or 8 beers just go ploosh, like right down onto the carpet. Those of us whose room it wasn't are like, later, out the... Good luck with that mess on a dry campus. But I've never forgotten that moment. I've never forgotten it. When I discovered that somebody that, I didn't think could engineer a couple of pieces of paper together with a stapler, was able to put together the most ruthlessly effective beer delivery device I've ever seen, and how another man, for all of humankind, stepped up to the plate and reached for greatness, reached for something in the face of seemingly unsurmountable odds. I've never forgotten that moment. That's how great discoveries are made. And I never saw the Inebriator again.